E3 has been cancelled this year, but I don't think that will affect any of the usual early summer game announcements. Nintendo has had some kind of presentation every June for almost 20 years. The only exception is June 2020, because of the pandemic. That means it's super likely that Nintendo will have a June Direct, which will feature all their big game news. And today I'm going to talk to you about what I think they could announce. Everything from the incredibly obvious to the obviously impossible. All these thoughts are my own, based on previous release patterns and various rumors that just won't die. Here are my 2022 Nintendo not E3 Direct predictions. Let's start with the obvious. First up, Nintendo tells us that Nintendo Switch Sports sold really well, and everyone loves it. Then, they tell us that golf is being added in September, but they still won't give us a firm release date. Then, they'll boldly announce that 2 more sports are coming in 2023, and these sports will also be a free update. The first sport is archery, and we'll all be very pleased. The second, table tennis, because we clearly don't have enough racket sports yet. Mario Kart is next. Nintendo will reveal the next wave of tracks and announce the release date for 1 week after the Direct. Xenoblade 3 and Splatoon 3 get schmancy new trailers with some fun reveals about their stories and features. I don't actually play these games, so just pretend I said something you really want them to announce. Next up, Nintendo turns things around with a reveal of a long dormant franchise. And no, it's not F-Zero. My money's on Chibi Robo. It'll have that Switch magic like every other franchise has had, and everyone will be at hype level 9000. Before we all go back to our regular scheduled bitching about F-Zero. The Ubisoft Nintendo collaboration will get a brand new cinematic trailer, some new features, and a release date for either October or December. Okay, I don't play Bayonetta, but unless this gets some big Zelda-esque delay, which I really doubt, it's coming in October. And if it gets delayed somehow, they'll apologize and say something vague about 2023. Finally, the Direct will end with 2 obvious but very exciting things. I think it's possible we're not lucky enough to get both, but if we do... That's right, the Mario movie will finally get a trailer, and a title. It'll be simple and obvious, called Super Mario Bros. We'll finally hear how Chris Pratt sounds as Mario. It'll be fine, not great, not terrible. We'll hear Charlie Day as Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, and it'll end with a quick bit featuring Jack Black as Bowser. We won't hear anyone else, but Miyamoto will say something cheesy and ridiculous about the trailer like he did when he revealed the cast. Memes will be created. Everyone will be hyped, but not enough for it to be the finale of the Direct. That's when they'll say they're famous, we have one more thing to show you. And we finally get a proper, full-on look at the new Zelda game. We'll get a title, which will be based on the game's big mechanic. They'll show off a lot of gameplay and some of the story. They'll reveal that Zelda is finally playable, and then the release date. March 3rd, 2023. 6 years to the date after the original game. Aonuma will say they wanted to honor the original game by releasing the new one on the anniversary. He'll then announce that there will be a full Zelda Direct in September that goes into much more detail. And that'll be the end. It'll fade to black and everyone will be happy. But I think there's a lot of other, much less obvious stuff that I think they could announce. I want to start with stuff that I personally think is obvious, but with Nintendo, you just never know. I don't know if these are coming to Switch, but Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are 2 of the few remaining Wii U games left to port. And with no 2022 Zelda content, I think these games could fill the gap. I think Nintendo could announce these, and if they do, it'll be a double pack at double price, $120 US. However, it'll come in a very pretty box with a bonus CD, amiibo, or art book, and it'll be available from September 16th, 2022 until March 31st, 2023. But maybe Nintendo doesn't port these games to fill the gap. What other Zelda content are we all craving? Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons remakes have been rumored for a long time, so maybe Grezzo's been developing these and they'll release this fall. Each game will be $60 and they will be sold separately. No 2-pack for the price of one. And you bet your ass every single one of us is going to buy both games. We also haven't had an original, completely new 2D Zelda since A Link Between Worlds in 2013. We've had other great 2D stuff, yes, but it's been all spin-offs and remakes. I really doubt we're getting entirely new content within a few months of Breath of the Wild. Releasing a completely new game so close to it will definitely cannibalize the sales and attention for Breath of the Wild 2. Or, in reality, it'll actually cause the new 2D game sales to suffer. So I doubt it's happening, even if it's long, long, long overdue. If, and I mean if, Metroid Prime 4 is a planned 2023 title, I could see this collection being announced with an October 2022 release date. I don't know if I believe the rumors that this exists, or if it'll just be a remake of the first game, but there's a good chance either option will sell much better on the Switch than it ever did on other consoles. Okay, so there's been rumors of a new Donkey Kong game for a while, and there's been theories for a very long time that the Odyssey team has been working on something. But it's one or the other. If Nintendo's decisions made any sense, I would guess that Super Mario Odyssey 2 would be released to tie in with the Mario movie. But their decisions never make any sense, so it'll probably be a new Donkey Kong, with a vague 2023 release date. Advance Wars is still waiting for a new release date after its previous delay. I personally think this is something that would be obvious to include in the Direct, but only if Nintendo has actually chosen a new release date. I can also see Nintendo just dropping a quick tweet, just to avoid negative press. Plus, this year is kind of packed, so maybe this gets dumped in early 2023. Since Pokémon Snap is the last game left from their previous batch announcement, it wouldn't be totally out of left field for Nintendo to announce the next wave of titles. But they also don't announce NES and Super Nintendo games ahead of time. Going forward, maybe they'll just shadow drop new N64 games. If we do get another batch of titles, they'll probably be something like Mario Party 2, Donkey Kong 64, Wave Race 64, and Super Smash Bros. With 4-player online. 4 games gets us to October, when they usually announce new stuff to get you to resubscribe for another year. Yes, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters are finally coming to Switch, and you're super excited as they show off all 6 classics in a glorious sizzle reel. Until they announce that each game will get a staggered, separate release date, just like they did on PC. And even worse, there'll be no mention of a physical release at all. And Final Fantasy 1 just has some non-specific, near-future release date. This next series of predictions I like to call Probably Not, because, well, they probably won't happen. We'll desperately hope for them, but it's super, 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 super unlikely. But still, mildly possible? Maybe? We almost never get Pokémon news in Nintendo Directs. Sometimes they summarize news from a previous Pokémon trailer, sometimes they throw us a tiny crumb. But it's been a while. I think the last time was the Sword and Shield DLC in the March 2020 Direct Mini. BDSP and Legends Arceus weren't included in a single Direct, so I think it's unlikely we get Scarlet and Violet news. Yeah, no, they're not going to reveal Metroid Prime 4. I think the best thing we get, if Nintendo is feeling very generous, in a Direct that already has the Mario movie and the new Zelda, is this statement. Development is progressing well, so please look forward to more news in the future. And we only get that if they announce the unlikely Metroid Prime Trilogy port. Okay, this is the part of the video where I predict all the fun stuff that I really want, but will probably, definitely, most likely will never ever ever happen. This is all the stuff that Nintendo will never announce ever, no matter how much I beg and plead. The only saving grace is that my wallet is safe. Mario Party Superstars is an amazing Mario Party game. The best one since the GameCube, in my opinion. But it only has 5 boards, which is basically nothing. All the classic Mario Party games had loads of boards, and the perfect way to pad the number of boards would be to include a board from each of the previous Mario Party games. From Mario Party 4 and onwards, include 1 board from each game. Unfortunately, the last Mario Party on Switch didn't get any DLC, and I really doubt this one will. It's just a gut feeling, but I'd love to be wrong. Ring Fit Adventure was so much fun. It actually made me look forward to exercising. I'd love to see a sequel with a new story and a new accessory that allows for a plethora of additional exercises. The first game sold so well that I expected some kind of DLC expansion, but the window for that has come and gone. Also, Nintendo Switch Sports is this year's physical activity game, and I can't see Nintendo stepping on its toes. Imagine if Nintendo announced that Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance were all coming to NSO. They announced all 3 Mario Land games, Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, Minish Cap, Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Metroid Fusion, and Metroid Zero Mission, all Day 1 games. And we know they could do it. The emulators leaked ages ago. But that all sounds way too good to be true though, right? Which means it will not happen. Which also means that GameCube games won't happen either, because that would be amazing. We all want it. Even though there's a GameCube emulator ready to go in Super Mario 3D All-Stars, it just won't happen. Nintendo DS also won't happen either, despite the fact that these games could be emulated on the Wii U. But just imagine, they announced the Game Boy family, GameCube games, and DS games, all coming to NSO this fall. And then, to really sweeten the deal, they announced that all first-party DLCs and expansions will be included with the NSO as well. Sword and Shield, Luigi's Mansion, Fire Emblem, Breath of the Wild. All their expansions are now included with your NSO subscription. But this will never happen. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have even mentioned it. We'll be lucky to get more N64 games at this point. Sports Story keeps getting quietly delayed. And since it's at the top of my wish list, we won't get any news. It's just how it works. I want to play it, which means I'm going to have to wait longer. Sometimes I wonder if Silksong has better odds than this. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. What do you think? Are my predictions a little too far out there? Did I forget to mention something? Are you also jonesing for any information on Breath of the Wild 2? Or are you normal? Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you at the inevitable June, not E3, Direct.